if you work for a big company or humanitarian organization, you are very often provided with an Office 365 account, which provides you by default with an email address. You all normally use Microsoft Teams as well. But on top of that, when you log into your account, you would normally see, as you can see on my screen, I'm just logged in my account, and you would normally see here all the applications that are made available to you. So now I can develop a bit more and see that I have Word, Excel, OneDrive, Teams, PowerPoint, and so on and so on. What I want to show you today is how you can build a very simple travel request or travel management tool using Microsoft List that would also allow you to send automatic notification for request approval and further summary of the request being sent by email to anyone within your organization. So we will start working with Microsoft List. So here I'm going to click on List, which by default will open the main screen of the Microsoft List. So as you can see in my account currently, nothing is there. So what I strongly suggest when you start to work with Microsoft List is to build directly a form that will feed the records of all the submitted information into a list, which is basically like a database. So I will start by create new, and here I will select form rather than the list. So here I will, for instance, call the list or the tool travel request, and then you click create. Now the first screen that comes is the form that you can now customize as per your needs. So you will need to create all the fields and the type of fields that you will need to put in your form to collect the right information. So I will start by naming the tool or the form travel request. If you have a company logo, you can click add logo and select your files. If you don't want to put one, this is up to you. So here you can describe briefly what is the tool about. So you can say submit a travel request so that your administration department can book your travel and accommodation. Now, next, we're going to start putting the fields that we want. So by default, Microsoft List creates a title field, which in our case, it's not required. We can modify it if we want, if it was a text field. But I wanted to start from scratch, and I will later on remove that column that is not required. So the first field will be who is the requester. So usually when you work within your organization, if you select the field person, this will automatically allow the list to pull the data directly from the Microsoft Outlook contacts or the Microsoft Outlook company that will pull all the information about all the different users and employees within the organization. So I will start with person here, and I will say here requester. So it's a person field, and I will make sure that this is a required field in my form, because obviously you want to know who is the person making the request to notify your administration department. The next field, I will then continue and select a choice field, which will be, for instance, the origin. So where are you traveling from? So you can say, for instance, traveling from. And here in the choices, I will start, for instance, to put I'm traveling from Paris, I'm going to London, I can travel from London, sorry. I can travel from Rome. So this will depend basically of the locations that your organization have within the country of operation. So you can put all the different offices, locations where the travelers may be traveling from, and we can do the same for the traveling to location. So again, this is a required choice. So now I'm adding a new field, and I will put now traveling. So we can, before selecting the destination, let's put the departure date and time if you want to. So here is date of departure. which can be an exact date or tentative. This is up to you. You can also specify if you want to know the time, and I would suggest to put the time. Again, it's a required field. Why you put the time? Because that will help your administration department to book the right flight or to book the right bus or train with the time that would match the requester's preferred travel time. So now that I put the date of departure, let's put the destination. So it's going to be a choice again. So here it's traveling to or destination. You can call it the way you want. So in this case, let's put different locations. So I put London. We can put Athens in Greece. It's a country I like. We can put, I don't know, Copenhagen. It's really open to your requirements and based on your needs within the organization. And to finish, I will put some things in Spain, such as Madrid. Okay, so now that I've put this, it's a required field as well, important for the administration department to know where you're going to. Now, the next field that we can build or create, it will be whether the person needs accommodation on site. So we can, before doing that, eventually add the return date. So we can put also here date and time, and here we can put return date. So again, if you want to put the time as a preferred option, you put it, and I will put that as a required information. Now let's put here a new field, which is basically a single text information, which will be is accommodation required? Accommodation required. And here you can say if yes, indicate the preferred hotel. So you may have in your organization a list of approved hotel in all the destination locations where people are traveling to. So you can put here again, not a required field because this is optional. If the person does not need accommodation, then you would not put it. Okay, so this is a basic one. I think we can leave it like that. And again, this is really up to you based on the real needs within your organization. So now, as I explained before, I'm going to remove the title. So I don't want that to be seen within the form. And basically now we can preview. So by previewing the form, you actually see that. So I'm logged in with my account, which is me, with my email address. So this is by default. Now I'm using business account for the purpose of this channel, and therefore there's only one employee, which is me. So every test I will make here as notifying the administration is going to be basically notifying me, but it could be anyone else within the organization. So here by default, I will type I'm the requester, and if I type my name, it recognizes my name within the organization. Traveling from, so for instance, as I said, traveling from Paris, I would like to leave tomorrow morning on Friday 19th. And on the time, I will say ideally around 9 a.m. So this is including here. Traveling to, I'm going to Madrid. My return date would be ideally, it's just for a long weekend. So let's say I want to come back on the Monday 22nd. Again, traveling around 9 a.m. in the morning. I validate. And if accommodation is required, I will say yes. And I will say yes, Hotel Madrid, because I'm going to Madrid. So what happened? This is what would happen normally when somebody submits that form. I'll click submit, and you will now see in the background that the list, once I refresh, the list has the information that I have submitted. So it's already recorded in my database, in my list. So now we can also customize that list a bit more if that's what you want. For anyone who would like to visualize all the requests, all the pending requests, and so on and so on. Now, what we can build here, which I didn't build in the form, and let's go back to it. It's not required in the form, or if you want to have it in the form, if you only have one person that's going to be, let's say, approving a request, because we talked about notifying the administration, and this doesn't have to be built into your form. But you may want to have a step where the person making the request first requires to have a notification sent to the approver, which could be your line manager. In this case, you also need to add that field into your form. So let's go back to the form. Let's say that I also want to, after the requester, add another field, which will be the approver. So here it's going to be also a person, and I will call it, approver or line manager. So let's call it approver. It's also a required field. Okay, I add the field, and now I want to put that, and I will, just to be a bit logical, I will put that directly after the requester field. So it's basically requester and approver, and then the traveling information. So once I build this, I can basically, at the end, once I'm ready, just be ready to try the tool. By default, and this is something I forgot to mention here, you have a way to share that, so you can copy the link. So by default, it will be everyone within the organization. You copy the link, and this is the link to the tool that you will further share with all the employees within your organization. So we can, as an example, paste that link on a new tab in my browser, and you will see that now the form comes as a single form, not within the Microsoft list as here. So now you can see this is the tool. So I can again do another test. So I'm the requester. Okay, the approver will be me, as mentioned before, because I'm the only person within the organization. I'm traveling from Paris, leaving on the 19th around 9 a.m. Traveling to Madrid. Return date on the 22nd around 9 a.m. preferred time, of course. And then the accommodation, yes, Hotel Madrid. So now, if I submit this, now the person will only see this. Your response has been submitted. Now, if I go back to my list, I can see now that I have a second record, which is the second one, in this case with the approver. So you can see that the previous record, because the approver field was a required and mandatory field, it's saying required info. So obviously I can delete that previous record, and I can only take into account the new one. So now that we did this, what is the next step? So the next step is to build the automation. And the automation is the one where you will say, when somebody submit a new record in your Microsoft list, let's send that request to the approver, where the person will be receiving a notification through either Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Outlook. It can be both. By default, when you send an approval within a Power Automation flow, it will automatically notify in both. So the person may not be connected on Teams and he will receive the email. You just need to click confirm, or the person is on live on Teams and he may receive a notification on Teams, and he will therefore be able to approve within Teams. So let's build that automation. So we go back now to the tools and the application with your account. Now we go to Power Automate. Now I'm going to create a flow. So what do? We create a new flow, and we're going to call it an automated cloud flow. So the flow name will be the travel request, which will be easy to remember and link with the tool. So you create travel request. So here you will have to go on a list. So normally it should be a SharePoint. So you go where an item is created as the trigger to your flow. It means that when a new SharePoint list is submitted, it will trigger the flow. And then we will describe what the flow should do. So I'm going to start and create. So now, by default, he's obviously telling me invalid connection, because I need to let him know what is the address where my list or tool is existing. So when I click on the step, here he's asking me what is the site address. So by default, there is nothing. So what you do, and that's the way it should work, you go here into your travel request Microsoft list, and you copy here the address just before the list. So you select that address, you copy it, you go back to your automation, and let's see if it's loading. That's it. So you see, it's a bit of time for everything to be refreshed. So now I can see my list, travel request. So this is good. So what do? We say when item is created, we want to send an approval step first. So what do? We create a new step and we will look at approval. And here normally you see start and wait for an approval. So this is the one you should click on. So when you say start and wait for an approval, you then create the new approval and you need to say what is the approval. So normally you would say approve, reject, first to respond, which is by default sufficient. Now you need to put here the title, which is what the person will see when they receive the approval. So as I mentioned before, it could be an email or it could be a notification through Microsoft Teams. So you need to see here a new travel request for approval. And what I strongly suggest is that you add the automatic ID that will be created by the list so you can track the request with a unique identification number. To do that, you first need to edit your list. Go on the settings on the top right corner, go on the list settings. Once you're on the list settings, you will go here in all items and you now decide what you want to be seen in your list. So I will remove the title because it was not required. And you can see here, I can put the ID and I want to be this ID to be seen as a first column in my list. So I do this. I select one in the order to make sure it's coming before any other columns. If I press OK, you will see now the ID starts with the ID number, who has created the request, and so on and so on. So now I can go back to here. And if I want that ID to be shown, I need to here select the automatic data that is populated, which is basically showing what are all the existing field or columns in my list. So here I will select ID because this is what I want the person being notified to see. Now assign to, here you need to type, as we did into the form, the name of the person approving. So by default here, I will have to select use dynamic content, and I want here to put the approver. Remember, so the field list here is called the approver here. So if I type approver, I should be able to see, here it is, approver. So it's going to be the approver email because you want that person to be notified through the email address. Then the details. So here, this is where you will put the content. So in the content here, you will need to see dear approver. So let's, for instance, here, again, type the approver field, but in this case, I want to put the approver display name. So it will say, dear Patrick, okay, a travel request has been submitted with ID, and we will put again the ID number, okay, and then we will say travel details. So we can put here travel details. So this is text, obviously. And then we will put the travel details. So traveler. So the traveler is the requester. Remember? So here, normally, I should be able to type requester, and I will put here the name, which is the person of traveling requesting. Now, what do we want to put? Who is the requester? From where, or date of departure, which we can put now, date and time of departure. So here we will also put date of departure. That's it. Now we will say origin, traveling from, for instance. So again, I can put here the right field coming from the list. So it's traveling from value, because it's the value that we take from the choice. Then we can say traveling to, and then we select the dynamic value from the list. So we type again traveling and now to value. And then we can say return date. So in this case, again, we will add the return date, which is part of the field, and requested accommodation, which is the last field that we put in our form. And in this case, I'm going to go back because it may be a long list. So here, if I type accommodation, yes, and that's going to be the information about the accommodations. That's it. So you have now already built the approval flow. Now, once we do that, well, we can save the flow at the moment. So here it says approval may not be configured. Yes, again, so that's maybe because I have, as I said, the new environment. But this should normally work well. So let's try anyway. So we can do a test. We can now submit a new form. So we can select here a new request, submit another response. So I will send now a request. My name, Patrick, as a requester. The approver is going to be notifying myself. Sorry. Traveling from, in this case, we can say London, 10 a.m. in the morning. And traveling to, I will say, Copenhagen with the return date on the 23rd around, let's say 10 as well. Okay. And I want here now an hotel, and I will call it Hotel Denmark. Okay. Now let's see what happens. I will submit. I will go to my flow, and let's see if the flow is being triggered. So normally here at some stage, if the system is properly set, we should now wait and see. It may take some time, which can be very often the case, for the flow to be triggered. You can see now that it is pending and running. So there's two ways. I can either go in my emails, and you will see now that I have an email from Microsoft Power Automate that shows new travel request for approval, ID number 3. So if we go into the new submitted request, you will see the new one, London, Copenhagen. It's ID number 3, which is correct. So in the email, it says requested by myself, date created. So dear Patrick, so that should normally be the name of your approver. A travel request has been submitted with ID number 3, travel details. So the traveler is myself, date and time 2026. So 18 June at 5 p.m. So this is by default the system, or where I would say where is Microsoft server being hosted with my business plan. So obviously this is incorrect because it's not showing the actual time that I have asked for. If you remember my submission here, it was to leave on the 18th at 10 a.m. So there's obviously here 10 a.m. Pacific time. As you can see, this is where the issue is. And the same will be here on the Pacific time. So this is something we can easily fix in the automation, but at least by default, you can see that the information is working. Now, on top of the email, if I go here, I will show you my Microsoft Teams. So I'm grabbing here my Microsoft Teams for my account, and you will see now I receive here an activity, which is also the request sent directly into Microsoft Teams. So the same thing again, you have the information, the content of what we put in the approval, okay? And now, while we haven't fixed the time zone, everything else is correct. Now you can here either approve or reject. So it depends on the approver. The decision is to either approve from the email or approve from the Teams notification, which is exactly the same. So I will approve from Teams. Now here you will see that this is approved. Now the status here is approved. So if I go back now to my Outlook and I refresh, it will also confirm that this approval is no longer required. Boom. So it's linked, obviously. Now you can see it says I've already completed this request. Now if I go to my automation and I refresh, it should normally be completed because we finished. So yes, you can see now the automation is succeeded. If I open it, it will say that it's finished. So this is working now, very simple. Um, Now the next step, what we can do and build is edit that automation. And obviously, because it's approved, we should continue by sending the email to the administration department. So the admin department can also receive the formal email for the request and start working on booking the tickets, flight tickets, whatever is the mean of transport that is usually approved in the country. As a side note, the Microsoft form can also be built with additional fields, which would be, for instance, including the mode of transportation. So if in your country of operation, you would have flight, train, vehicle or road transport, you can add this extra choice field into your form. So the person can select his preferred mean of transportation. And this would be also an extra column in your Microsoft list where you will have the mean of transportation for the outbound and the inbound trip as well if you want to. It's really up to you how complex you want to build. I'm just showing you how easy it is to build the basics that would help to have a better tracking for your travel requests within your organization, which can also further be, exported or linked with the Power BI dashboard should you have a Power BI Pro license, because that would be required. And then you would create and build your visual to bring the data and pull the data from your Microsoft list with the refresh set on a regular basis, either daily or multiple times per day, so that people could have an overview of all the travel requests within the organization in a nice Power BI visual dashboard. So just to finish that automation, I will now edit it, and now I will obviously notify. So here, I will here start and put, so there's a condition. The condition is that administration should be only notified if the request was approval. So here, the condition is to select the output of the outcome. So the outcome here will be the outcome of the step before. If is equal to approved, so we need to check and confirm that the wording, and in our case, is approved. So normally, if I do that, now, if it's approved, which means in the true condition of in the true branch of your condition, this is where we're going to send the email. And here we will put send email as a step. So here I highly recommend to use the version 2 and not the version 3, because version 3 with most of the Office 365 account within organizations are a bit more complex to set up, while the number 2, version 2, as you can see, it's automatically linked with your Office 365 Outlook account. So we're going to set that. So if the condition is true or met, it means that if the approver has approved it, you can basically send an email. So you need to do a connection to your Outlook account, which I'm going to do now because it was not set up. That's it. And now we will say again to who we're going to send that email. So in that case is use dynamic content, and you can type automatically the name of the person. So as I said before, I'm the only one in the organization. So here I can actually search for people and I can type Patrick. So I'm officially the only employee. The subject again, so we can go back to here and we copy here exactly the same information we set on the notification to make it faster, okay? And the body of the email can also be the same fields and the same information that you have put here into the notification sent to the approver. Now I go back here and I put here. So in this case here, I will put dear administration, or dear whoever is the administration. So here it's one person, it's me. I will say, dear Patrick, a travel request has been submitted, travel details. And at the end, I can say, can you please initiate the required flight and eventual, eventual accommodation bookings and contact the requester for further information. So normally you would expect that the admin will say, contact the requester and say, okay, this is your flight option 1, 2, 3. The hotel, there's different rooms with different rates, and based on your organization policy and potential financial restriction in terms of how much you can spend on a flight ticket and accommodation, then there will be a communication and exchanges outside of the tool, obviously. So this is then the email. Now, what do we need to do? Just to be on the safe side, we also need to, if the condition is false, which is basically if the approver has rejected, you also potentially need to notify the requester so he knows, that the approver did not approve his request for his trip. So here again, an action, we're going to put send email. And in this case, we will send an email to the requester. So here, what would be good is you can rename all these steps. So send an email to admin, which will be the step here. And here we'll say send an email. So sorry, sign in. Again, this is very often the requirement. Okay, so I'm connected here, send an email. So the step here now will be send an email to the requester. So here too, so again, dynamic, we will select requester from our Microsoft tool. So here, the requester email, subject your travel request ID, and we will put the ID number again. Boom, has been rejected. So the subject will be straightforward by email or in Teams. And here we will be dear. So again, requester, and here we put the requester display name. Your travel request has been cancelled by, and here we can say who has cancelled it. So it should be the approver, obviously. So we can go here, approver display name for the following reason. So normally in the step, you will see that there is, so let me check. Normally on the request received, there should have been a comment field. So in the email to reject, we should be able to select the dynamic content here, which is the response summary. So if you select that, the text that the person can, and it's optional, when you receive a notification either by email or by Teams, you have a field which is additional comment or comments. And this is where the person rejecting can say, there's a security issues at location, at destination, you cannot go on these dates, or, or for other reason to reject basically that request. So let's again save this and test it again. So I'm going to submit another request, which is, sorry, just need to here select my tool. So sorry, the form is here. My mistake. Let me just travel request. Okay, submit another response. So now I'm going to do again requester is myself. The approver is myself as well. Now traveling from, so let's put now Rome to leaving on the 19th at 8 in the morning. Traveling to Athens, return date 23rd, 8 in the morning, which is fine. Then his accommodation, yes, so Hotel Greece. Okay, now I submit again the request. So if I go to my flow, you will see after a few seconds, it should be initiated. So I'm refreshing. And as I said, the delay can come for various reasons, mainly because you have multiple users, multiple flows. The organization is big, so there is a standard delay for the system and automation to be triggered. Here it is. So that automation has been started. So let's wait. So now I'm receiving here a request, another one. So the request number 4. So you see that request number 4 is here, traveling from Rome to Athens, Hotel Greece. So now, as I said, I can reject here. So here we say, you are not authorized to travel for reason 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now I will reject. So let's see now if the email work very well as well. So the rejection normally should automatically also be notified by email. So obviously there's only me. So here is, so this is the request, and you can see now there is an email saying your travel has been canceled by myself. Now I'm checking, I can see that the response is not included. So I have not properly built automation because I should have seen here the reason for rejection, which is not written here. So let's check exactly why it's not working. And I believe this is part of the automation. Let's refresh. It should be completed now. Yes. So let's edit that automation. And I think it's because it should be not response here, not response summary, but it should be something with comments. Let me see if there's anything. Comments. Let me try to see. Response comments. This is the one. So it was not summary. It should have been comments. Okay, so let's save that and let's try again. So now I'm going to submit another one. So requester myself again. The approver myself. Traveling from, I will do now Rome on the 19th at 9 a.m. Traveling to Athens again. Return date on the 23rd at 9 a.m. And accommodation, hotel Parthenon. Okay, why not? Okay, I'm submitting. So here it is. I submit the request. I will wait and see the flow being automated and initiated. So we wait for a bit. So it will come whenever he wants. It's a system-based delay. There's nothing I can do about it. Here it is. It's starting again. So now here is the automation. I've just received the notification on Teams, as you can see. So this is the request. Again, Hotel Parthenon, this corresponds. So here I will say again, you cannot travel. I don't like you. Again, this is a joke, huh? Professionally speaking, you will not do that. Let's reject. So now that I reject, let's see now. So you can see that once I reject the status here, it's showing reject on Microsoft Teams. Now let's go and see the emails to see if now we receive. So the request to Parthenon approved. And now if I look at the rejected, you see now you have your travel request has been canceled for the following reason. You cannot travel. I don't like you. So everything is as expected, which is exactly what we needed for that tool. So you see, it's very basic, simple, but very powerful. And now that you understand the framework and the logic of building these kind of tools, you can, it's unlimited. And I leave you to decide what you would best build for your organization that will fill and suit all your needs to be able to send requests formally through a tool, request for approvals, provide notification with the option to reject notification, and so on and so on. So I think this is all for now. I hope this was useful. And as usual, please like or subscribe, and you can reach out to me if you want any further support. I can build anything you want on behalf of your organization. Feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.